Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. This live's going to be a bit chaotic. I don't have a title, I don't have a description, I don't have anything, and I've never done one on my phone before. I had it all beautifully set up when the internet went out. So, I'm just winging it here. I feel like I'm already awkward enough on lives without doing it differently, but I was already set to do it, so I'm going to keep doing it. There's nobody here right now, but as you jump on, feel free to say hi. And as soon as I see you, I will answer. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I do have notes, so if you see me looking down, that is why. Today, I want to dive into a topic that's very important to me, but it also gets overlooked a lot. And that is things that I, as a disabled person, want non-disabled people to know. The internet does give people like myself with a disability just a lot of voice, but I don't feel like it gets amplified as much as it should. So, whether you're here to learn, to empathize, or because you just randomly clicked on this link without a title, let's get going. First things first, disability is not a one-size-all situation. There are tons of disabilities out there. No two people are alike. So what I'm about to share are just my opinions. Other people might not feel this way, and that's okay. Disability is a huge spectrum. Even in a singular person, it can be a huge spectrum. I am more disabled some days than others. So please keep that in mind as you watch. I think it's crucial to understand that my disability is just one small part of who I am. I have a wide variety of interests, talents, and personality traits that go well beyond my physical limitations. So, although disability is definitely an aspect of my identity, it is far from my whole identity. One thing that really impacts my life more than the disability itself is the lack of accessibility in public spaces. And if you're a subscriber, you know this, because I review the accessibility of almost everywhere I visit, and a lot of times it's not good. So I think that is the biggest thing that I want people to know. That disability isn't usually the problem. The lack of accessibility is. Accessibility is not just some buzzword. It's not something that's gotten trendy recently. It is very important. It is the key to independence for people like myself. And so often, the legally minimum required accessibility doesn't give independence. It just doesn't. Sometimes it's like a steep ramp that is inaccessible without a push and inaccessible without a person to push. Sometimes it's door opening buttons that aren't reachable from a wheelchair. There's just a long list of things that make it hard for disabled people like myself, especially wheelchair users, to go out in public by ourselves. And true accessibility would mean we could access everything that a non-disabled person could. And we have a long way to go in society to have that happen. Sorry, I lost my place in my notes. If you are not disabled, I want you to take a minute and just imagine facing barriers every day and knowing there's nothing you can do about it. You can complain, you can go on social media, but when it comes down to it, these places have no incentive to change because they're meeting the legal minimums, and that's all they're going to do. And that is so frustrating. So we need non-disabled people to speak up, to complain as well, because just us doing it obviously isn't doing the trick. So, non-disabled folks, please continue or start to advocate for accessibility. Everyone benefits when the world is more inclusive. The next thing I want non-disabled people to know is that it is okay to be curious about disability. Many of the past generations have taught their children not to stare at disabled people. In theory, that's great, but it seems to translate into don't look. I cannot count how many times people have gone out of their way not to stare at me, and instead they're in my way. Like they're walking by me trying not to look at me, and then their feet are by the wheels of my wheelchair. They're stopping in front of me. Somehow that teaching has led people to ignore disabled people. And it's okay to look. I mean, you probably shouldn't stare, although sometimes you can stare at me. I'm pretty hard to miss. I mean, besides the wheelchair, I like retro fashion. A lot of times I have bright makeup. Sometimes I have brightly colored hair. So there's just a lot to look at. But truly see us. Don't just see the wheelchair or any physical deformity. Look at us. I think it would be amazing if the world embraced disability instead of looking away from it. If you're this is why I don't do lives, because I stutter a lot. If you are curious about someone's disability or someone's needs, just ask. Be polite about it, but you can ask. I can't speak for everyone, but I never mind genuine curiosity, and I will take the opportunity to educate. It's usually children that give me this opportunity. I love all the names children come up with for mobility aids. That's like my favorite. It is so cute. Even if sometimes they're misguided. Like last year, I was at an event for my daughter, and a little boy called my cane an old person stick. And people of all ages use mobility aids. I hate that stigma, but it just made me laugh. It made my day. So I explained to him that my legs just don't work right. And he was like, all right. And it really is that simple. Also, I apologize if anyone is leaving a comment and I'm not seeing it. I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm just not sure how it works on the phone. I don't know if it's supposed to be just popping up on the screen or if there's comments I can't see. So you have my apology for that. This was not how I wanted to do this live. So inclusion is not just about ramps and elevators. It's really not. It's about creating an environment that everyone feels welcome. And part of that is remembering that words can have a big impact. I know the language people prefer is always changing. And if you're not caught up on that, that is okay. As long as you're not using something straight up derogatory, it's okay. You always have an opportunity to learn. But remember, words are powerful. Try not to use stereotypes. And there's really too many for me to get into. But a big one that impacts me is that disabled people aren't parents. And we are. Currently, I think the last stat I read, we are parents at the same rate as non-disabled people. There are stereotypes that people with certain conditions are always happy. Things like that. Try to stay away from those. Personally, and this is not an opinion I don't think shared by everyone, but probably a lot of people, don't use like handy, capable, differently abled, any of those. Please don't. At least not when you're talking to me. Sometimes I will interchange person with a disability, and that's fine. Everyone prefers something different, and I don't have one that I prefer over the other. But I am disabled, and that's not a dirty word. It's okay to say. I know this is getting long. I just passed up 10 minutes. But I do have just a few more quick things I want to talk about. Next up, I want to stress that disability representation matters. Non-disabled people can help by supporting and demanding representation. We should be in media, advertising, products that showcase us should be there. Target does a great job with the products. And probably the last thing I want non-disabled people to know is that not all disabilities are visible. Looking at me now, you may not realize that I am a wheelchair user. I am ambulatory, so I can walk a short distance, but I pretty much exclusively use mobility aids right now. I have tons of debilitating conditions. You can't see any of them. Spoiler alert, most of my body is on the inside, like all my internal organs. You can't see those. You can't see that they don't work. So try not to judge someone for using accessibility services and things like that because they might not look disabled. There's no one way a person with a disability looks. I like to dress up. I like to put on makeup. I love fun retro fashion, things like that. Melanie, my husband is actually autistic. So that's another thing that stereotypically people think they can tell, but you can't always. Some people have just adapted really well. And everybody deals with disability in their own way. So I just want anybody watching, wondering, how they can better serve the disabled population, how they can better advocate, to know that we need to advocate for all people, even when it's not totally apparent. I want to encourage everyone to strive for a more inclusive world. And we can do that by understanding and respecting the experience of people with disabilities. I don't make videos like this because I want any kind of sympathy. And also, I can't say that word. I am just stumbling all over the place today. And like I said, that is why I don't do a lot of lives. They make me a little anxious. But they are also fun. I make videos like this. I have my social media page, all that. So I can do a very small part in creating a world where everyone can thrive. I want to thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And if you're new here, please subscribe. I do leave these videos up to watch later. So please feel free to share it with a friend who might want to watch. I release a video almost every day, so I will see you soon.